This is everything I own since I left my country about a year ago. Since the day I left St. Petersburg, I stayed at quite a few places, and just recently I discovered the country that I want to call my new semi-permanent home for some time. That's Vietnam, rather a new country for me that I discovered last year while having a 2-week long trip together with Lisa. We traveled north to south and saw French colonial heritage and beautiful nature and delicious food and developed cities and a decent amount of chaos all around. Then I visited Vietnam once again this year, and eventually I found a place that I wanted to stay longer. Welcome to Dalat, a city hidden in South Vietnam's mountains that is home for 425,000 people, plus me for some period of time. Today I will show you a bit of Vietnam and answer questions that I got from my community. We will talk some personal stuff like my Russian passport and visa issues, the money question and my daily life here in Dalat, and also we will talk more about general stuff like pros and cons of living here as a foreigner, Vietnamese food and life here in general. But let's go grab some coffee first. Xin chào.
From?
Oh, I'm from Russia. Россия.
Oh.
Yeah. What's your name?
My name is Klook.
I'm Niki.
Niki?
Yeah. Nice to meet you. This one I think is the best illustration of why I like this place. So tranquil, so natural and really nice coffee that tastes really strong. Like Vietnamese coffee is super strong. Every single time when I come to this place, I grab this book, one book in English in the entire space, and it's quite interesting to learn about the history of this place. But today this book is my second thing to do. First, let's answer some questions. And the first one is about pros and cons of living in Vietnam as a foreigner. I see there are 3 different lifestyles foreigners can have in Vietnam. You either can live closer to the sea, like on Phu Quoc Island or Da Nang City or Nha Trang City, which has the biggest community of Russian expats, or you can live in large, super busy cities like Hanoi or Saigon. Like most of people that I see here, they actually coming from either of 2 places. Like the guys I talked a bit earlier, they are coming from around Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City, and the barista, the girl, she's actually coming from Hanoi and she's been living here for 4 years in Dalat. And cities like Dalat are the third option, somewhere more remote, more natural, more peaceful, and for some reason I prefer this kind of lifestyle at this given moment. Either of these options come with good level of comfort, of course, if you can afford it. And this is one of the biggest pros of living in Vietnam. Life can be really affordable here when you compare it to cost of living in Europe or in America. It's like I could live here for as little as $250 a month. It's not like I would like to have such kind of life, but it's possible to go really cheap here. Personally, for me, I prefer to maintain similar level of life that I get used to have while living in China, while living in St. Petersburg City. Previous couple of years in China and in St. Petersburg, I was spending between $1,000 and $1,500 monthly, and for having about the same lifestyle here in Vietnam, have to spend about the same money, maybe a little bit cheaper, maybe around $1,000 a month. Among the cons of living in Vietnam, actually this country has a lot of little negative things, and that is actually a very common thing for Asian side of the world. You either love the lifestyle here or you hate it. Vietnam is noisy, motorbikes are loud, and local people can sing karaoke super loud at night and do some construction also at weird times. Literally yesterday it was around 11 p.m. in the evening and I heard some drunk local people were singing karaoke, and I can't really complain about that much because you can see such things all around Vietnam. It's just a part of life here. Any kind of bureaucracy is quite terrible here, and also you cannot rely on local police much. The insects are much bigger than I personally would like to see around me, and especially in cities like Dalat, closer to nature, you face them quite often. And this list of little annoying things can go on and on. There's a lot of things that can be not very pleasant for somebody who lived all life like in Europe or America, but still, the pros of living here, the beauty of this place, much more important for me. So I'm more in love with this place rather than I hate it. And I'm going to stay here until the end of summer next year. That's answering to question from Polly, which brings me to a more personal question about my passport situation and also the issue of having Vietnamese visas. It just started to rain, which happens really often in Dalat. Let's get indoors. Well guys, I'm feeling more socially awkward right now staying indoors with people all around me, but alright, let's continue the video. So talking about the passport issue, it's quite straightforward. So for going abroad, you have to have your international passport, otherwise a foreign country will not let you to come in. And in Russia we have two options for such passports. You either have old style version, people don't really have it because it's very short term, only for 5 years. And the most popular option is to have a modern kind of travel passport that lasts for 10 years. I applied for mine in 2014 in March, which makes my passport to be expired in March 2024, which comes soon. And the thing is that you don't have to come back to your home country in order to renew a passport. You literally can do it in any given country. Right now I'm staying in the middle of my passport renewal process and I expect to have no problems about that. So some people ask about, hey Niki, do you have a plan B if there is some problem occur with your passport? I don't think I need a plan B for that. The plan A, just to get my travel passport and continue my life abroad. Another thing related to passport is situation with Vietnamese visa. And it's actually quite interesting. It's not only about Russian citizens, it's generally about foreigners. So right now, for anyone who stays in Vietnam with tourist purposes, like I'm kind of tourist here, there are two ways to stay in Vietnam as a tourist. For Russia and for a huge list of other countries, people can either arrive to Vietnam for 15 days straight without visa, just arrive, have a stamp on your passport and stay in Vietnam for 15 days. Or we can apply for e-visa that will last for 30 days straight. And 30 days it's short, so for somebody who wants to stay in Vietnam for a longer period of time, and there are like thousands, hundreds of thousands people like that, we have to be, let's say, creative about our stay in Vietnam. Basically, people come here for long term, but they have short-term tourist visas, and every single time when the visa is about to be expired, they have a short trip outside of the country just to come back about the same day. And that is quite annoying for most of people. For me, I also have to do that, have to renew my visa, apply for e-visa every single month, but I treat this not as inconvenience, but rather as an opportunity to explore more countries. For example, last month I went to Cambodia for the first time in my life. I spent there 6 days, also 2 days in Bangkok, and then came back to Vietnam. And after my new e-visa will be expired, I think I will go to the Philippines for about 6 to 8 days. So again, exploring a new country. I hope I don't bother anybody here by talking and repeating myself over and over again, something that you do not see in the edited video. Anyway, now let's go outside to have some Vietnamese food and I'll show you a bit of Dalat city. Talking about how do I get around the city, here it is, motorbikes. If you enjoy watching this video, like and subscribe for more content from me. There's a lot of people who watch my channel without subscribing, so please help me change that. It's my very first time at this restaurant and I didn't know what to expect, but I saw that they have really good reviews on Google Maps, so I decided to come here today. And from what I can see, it looks just great. This chicken rice looks so colorful, and I think this chicken rice alone would make me totally full. But besides that, I also ordered half a portion of spring rolls. And yes, that is just half a portion of the spring rolls. I literally have to roll it myself using the rice paper, another kind of rice cake, and lots of other things that I can put inside. And one kind of sauce is fish sauce, goes together with chicken rice. Another sauce might be maybe a little bit more sweet, goes to spring rolls, and beside that I have a little bit of soy sauce and a hot soup that should be, I don't know, the last part of my today's meal. And altogether, guys, I will pay no more than $5 for that, I believe, because one portion of chicken rice cost 55,000 don, and one portion of this spring roll cost 90,000, but I only got half of the portion. So let's give it a try. First, chicken rice. This chicken rice is delicious. So the rice itself a little bit bland, it has a very strong yellow color, but it doesn't have super strong taste, it's just rice. A little bit crunchy, there's a really good texture in it. There's a little bit of fried garlic over here, fresh cucumber, fresh grass. I actually don't know what exactly that is, but I see a lot of such greens to be served to like most of Vietnamese dishes. They love to have a lot of green stuff like that with literally any kind of meal for lunch or for dinner. It has very nice fresh taste, and this one some pickled vegetables. I see carrot and perhaps some radish, and it goes real good together with this fish sauce. This green soup is quite interesting. There are a lot of places that give you like soup to drink together with chicken rice or any other kind of rice, but this one is so green and has a lot of onion and some other herbs. Interesting. And now let's give it a try to the spring rolls. I have to take a piece of rice paper, and as the lady said, the first thing that goes in is a rice cake, or I do not know how to explain this better, but this one is very thin slice of rice paper, and this one is much thicker, like 10 times thicker maybe. A little piece of pork, and to my liking has a little bit like too much fat in it. A little bit of cucumber. Is it mango? This is mango, and there are two kinds of mangoes I can find in Asia. One is sweet, another sour, and I would expect to have sour mango here. But no, this one is actually sweet one and very fresh. Okay, I don't know what kind of taste it's gonna be, but let's put some. Little bit of pickles. This kind of leaf, I never tried it before coming to Vietnam. One side is green, another side is purple. It tastes very weird when you try it first time, but then you try it again and again and you start to like this taste. This one is pretty common, just lettuce. Okay, let's put some and roll it. I think I'm definitely doing a bad job at rolling this spring roll. Little dip over here and a big bite of spring roll. Man, that is so good. A lot of stuff happening in the mouth, and I can feel sweet and sour sauce, and a lot of freshness comes from the spring roll itself. So this lunch cost me exactly 100,000 Vietnamese don, which is like $4.5 American dollars, and it's rather on the affordable side. There are lots of food options in Vietnam where you'll pay about $1, $1.5 a meal, and typically that's gonna be either street food or some low-end simple restaurants like street cafes. Still, it can be very delicious. There are also a lot of places like this where you'll pay about $2 to $3 a meal, and the quality of the food increase a lot compared to any kind of street food. It tastes better, and also they use cleaner ingredients. There's also a lot of restaurants that show that they do not use MSG, that they use only clean stuff, which is quite good. And also in Vietnam there is a really great variety of international cuisines. Japanese and Korean cuisines are great here. There's also a lot of European food. Italian restaurants are super popular here. French restaurants, also a good selection of them, since Vietnam is ex-French colony. There are some German restaurants as well. I saw a lot of Mexican food restaurants and even one Russian food restaurant, although I haven't tried that yet. Really curious to give it a try. And all these places that serve not Vietnamese food, they tend to be more expensive than this place, for example. If I go, let's say, to Italian restaurant, I would expect to spend anything between $8 to $15 a person per lunch or a dinner. And there are also a lot of places where you'll pay anything above $20 a person for a nice dinner. So Vietnam, as well as other Southeast Asian countries, can be super affordable, but also it's kind of misconception, because if you want to get stuff that is not local, if you want to maintain kind of same level of daily life as you had in your country, you gotta pay money for that, and it's gonna be more expensive than living as local. And I really like the fact that there are a lot of options for any kind of budget here in Vietnam. If I want to go cheap, I go cheap. If I want to have anything different, I will definitely have an opportunity to do so, especially in Saigon and Hanoi. The stuff that you can find there is same as you can find in any major city around the world. Talking about other prices, accommodation takes a big part of my monthly budget, and the prices depend on how long you are going to rent a place. I'll use the place I'm staying right now as an example. If you rent it daily, you'll have to pay around $25–30 a night, but if you pay monthly and you'll stay for at least 3 months, then the price will be actually much cheaper. It will be about $350 a month. Still, it is not the cheapest option here. I know foreigners who rent rooms for as little as $100 a month, but that kind of room is good enough if you travel, you just need a place to stay. But if you want to have a bit more feeling of like being at home, you'll pay more money for that. Since I'm staying here long term, I don't really use taxis too much. I rented a motorbike, and the prices here in the lot are more expensive than I could possibly get in Saigon or in any other city. For some reason, it's more expensive here. Locals, they give motorbikes for rent daily for 150,000 dong, and if you rent it weekly, it will be slightly cheaper per single day. I rent my bike monthly, and I pay 2,200,000 dong, which is slightly less than $100 American a month. Oh my, I just turned off camera for a second, and a lady who works here approached me and gave me this tiny drink. She said that I was recording a video and she did not want to bother me during that, but once I got over with that, she gave me a little drink. So nice of her. Cheers, guys. Feels very refreshing. Not very busy streets, some motorbikes driving around, some motorbikes being parked right on the pedestrian side of the road, which is typical thing in Vietnam. And another typical thing in Vietnam is such kind of buildings. You see, they stay very close to each other, not very close, they stay literally next to each other, but they are individual buildings, like one building, another, and they go all way down this road. Somebody told me that the reason why local people build it this way, super narrow next to each other, is because some time ago, during the French colonial time, there was kind of property law that defined taxes according to how wide the building is. So smart Vietnamese people, they started to build super narrow buildings just to lower their taxes. The highest narrow building I saw, it had 10 floors, and imagine, it was just around 3, maybe 3.5 meters wide. Found a little street market, like there is a lot of fresh vegetables, some eggs. Hi there. And I see locals buying some stuff, and I believe everything here is rather affordable, but I do not see any price tags. It's about evening time and I feel like taking a drive back home, so see you at my living room. So, welcome back home, guys. We have so many questions to cover today, but this video is already a bit too long, so I'll reply to 3 last comments today. First of all, there are 2 complete opposite opinions about me being a happy person, or at least seeming to be a happy person. One person says that, "Hey Niki, I'm so glad to see that you are being as happy as you look on the picture." Thank you so much, mate. I do feel satisfied and happy recently. That is actually my normal state of being. As long as I can remember myself, I was a happy and satisfied person at what I have. Although there is somebody clearly unhappy about the fact that I can feel happy during these times. Somebody messages that, "Hey Niki, how can you be happily like being a blogger and traveling around while there are people suffering in Ukraine?" I think that somebody can live a happy and full life while still taking a care about what is going on there in the world. Anyway, the last comment coming from a person who wants to know how do I sustain myself and am I just a nomadic content creator or what am I doing for life? And the answer is yes, I am a full-time content creator. For now, I am doing videos on YouTube. Before, I was also doing it on TikTok, and I started it 4 years ago. It took me exactly 1 year to get from the point of not earning anything for 12 months straight, not even a single dollar earned by me during that first year of trying to be a content creator. But then these efforts and the time I put into my channels paid off, and right now I can sustain myself while living abroad, just doing these videos that you are watching on my channel, and I'm feeling quite grateful and happy about that, because 3 years ago it was the first time I realized that I actually can sustain myself by making videos. That was long before Russia invaded Ukraine actually. First I was creating videos for TikTok, but then when Russia started a war in Ukraine I had to readjust because TikTok fully banned all users from Russia, basically erasing entire income that I had by that time. My friends know that I can talk about social media and making money online for like really long time, hours and hours. Maybe someday I'll make a video how do I sustain myself being a full-time nomadic YouTuber. Right now I feel comfortable sharing the amount of money I earn on YouTube, solely on YouTube ads and support of my YouTube members. Every single month it looks just like this. So as you can see, June was the most profitable month with $3,000+ earned solely on YouTube. And that is clearly enough for having a good lifestyle in Vietnam. April and May were also good months with more than $2,000 coming from this YouTube channel to my pocket. And March and February I actually uploaded much less than I typically do, so the revenue was kinda smaller, but still enough to sustain myself in Southeast Asian countries, especially here in Vietnam. I don't know guys, let me know if that's actually something that is interesting for you to hear about like YouTube money and how do people like me sustain themselves being a content creator or anything like that. Comment about it if that's something that we would like to hear. By the way, I'm so sorry for lots of background noises during this video. Vietnam really can be a noisy place sometimes. Anyway, thank you for being with me. I'll see you next week. Спасибо and пока.